I think I found the fastest way to become fast. You ready for it? Watch. It's over here. That. Now, I hit hills just as much as you do, but I think that's gonna be the fastest way that you can become fast. You see, it's not the actual hill that makes you fast, but it's your heart rate. When you're running fast and like sprinting, your heart rate is increasing, oftentimes to what we call zone 5. This is what zone 5 looks like when you're running. Now, the difference between zone 5 and zone 1 are dramatic. Zone 1 is literally like walking, where your heart rate is barely moving. Zone 2 though is what a lot of people like to run in. That's where you can start running and, you know, do those ultra distance running, like a marathon, or you're running even like 100 miles. Yeah, there's crazy people that run 100 miles. Not for me. So if what you saw was zone 5 and what I just explained to you are zone 1 and zone 2, you can probably guess what zone 3 and zone 4 are. And I think that's the secret to running faster. You see, I'm going downhill and it's not taking that much energy from me and it's pretty easy. But going up, that's a whole different story. Because when you're going uphill, you're not only having to exert a ton of energy just to be able to go that distance, but you have to exert that exact same energy to go up that hill. And I think if we do it right, that might be one of the only things that we actually have to do. Now, as a soccer player, I might be wrong, but I think a lot of us have a lot of endurance because it's one of the only sports that does not have timeouts like American football, as well as other sports like baseball. So this might be a general assumption, but I think a lot of us have that endurance, but not all of us have that speed. The good thing is, if you're practicing multiple times a week with your team and you're playing games every week with your team, you're probably getting in the zone 2 and zone 3 workouts. And the only thing that's really left is your zone 5 workouts. Now, please guys, just understand that that's not the only thing that you should be working out, and that's not the only way that you should think about working out, but in a general sense, that's kind of it when it comes to the cardio side of soccer. But what would actually be the best strategy? Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not like your expert running coach, so there's probably people who know a whole lot more, but what I'll tell you is what I did that helped me out a ton. And there's 3 things that I focused on when I was doing this. It was timing, recovery, and breathing. Now, you really have to focus on all 3 because that's what helped me out the most. So the first part was timing. This is like how long of a distance that you had to run. Now, that whole Mount Everest right over there, you should not be running that much. If you're running all the way down here, all the way up to that hill, I pray for you, because that, yeah, no, not for me. A good distance, especially uphill, really depends on you, but I've seen the most effect getting around 60 meters to 100 meters, which is like a little less than like the typical 100-meter dash that, you know, most people run on the flat ground, but now you're doing it uphill. Now, if you're going longer of a distance, I think that's beneficial, but not for what like we're trying to do, which is speed. Now, the next is recovery, and I think that's the second most important part of hill training, because if you give yourself too much time to recover, yeah, you're getting some benefit, but you're not really able to build out the VO2 max, which is like a fancy way of saying how much oxygen your lungs can store. However, though, if you don't give yourself enough time to recover, you're overdoing yourself and you're not being able to reach that max potential. So it's pretty important to nail this down. Now, what I've seen work best for me was doing hill sprints for around 60 meters to 100 meters and recovering for literally around a minute to a minute and a half, like at the absolute max. Now, there's a different style of recovery rather than just standing there and being done. I literally would have to keep moving and walking. It sucked. When I first started doing that, it was probably not, like, literally so unfun. Is unfun a word? The minute I got to the top of the hill, I was done and I had to keep walking, but that taught me a lot. And now that brings me to the final part. And this is by far like the most important thing when you're doing these hill sprints, and that's breathing. Now, I thought that was stupid. I was like, not one of these yoga hippie people that are telling me to breathe right, until I realized that it was about breathing right. You see, you're gonna run up those hills and you are gonna be dead tired. And as much as you wanna breathe that way, that is not how you should breathe. In fact, this part actually sucks, but you really wanna focus on breathing slowly, breathing through your nose, and really controlling each breath. So when you're running up the hills, don't be this guy, but breathe like this guy. Now, when you're starting off, you're gonna really struggle doing that. Everyone does, and it's okay if you do. If you don't, you're a legend, I'm proud of you, and you're also crazy. But as time goes on, you'll be able to breathe much more controlled. And the minute that you're able to do those hill sprints, you get to the top and you're breathing controlled, and you do that on a weekly basis, you, my friend, will have unlocked what I believe is the fastest way to become fast. Now go subscribe. In the description's a general hill repeater workout that you can do, and you can customize it based on who you are. If you're a beginner, maybe take it a little easier. If you are more advanced, go all in.